not enough women in venture capital today, and that's part of the problem. Venture capital tends to be clubby in the sense that you tend to have confidence and trust and perhaps better communications with people that you feel more alike than people you feel less alike. And that applies across genders as well. I do think that there's a generation of younger venture capitalists who are male, who are particularly more comfortable with heterogeneity, including gender heterogeneity. And I also think that we do have places like Kleiner Perkins. We have a number of partners who are women partners, probably disproportionate for the industry, who help not just with our relationships with women business people, but also to establish the right sensibility inside the partnership. So I think that it's important for venture capital to be more embracing of heterogeneity, not just gender heterogeneity, but all heterogeneity.
Messages follow your passion. If you really, see something where there's a need and where you think you have the talent to contribute, go for it.
So we do believe that the women are, and we believe that the women partners are really good, have a really good perspective on business. Right. And particularly in venture capital, where intuition is very important. It turns out that our woman, Jennifer Fonstad, is quite intuitive, and she can spot things that the six men around the table can't spot. So that's a great thing. We're all aware that women drive much of the shopping out there, and that they know what they like, they know what might be good businesses, and I think that's a terrific help.
Honestly, if I had known what I know now, I probably would have been more hesitant. I'm not saying I wouldn't have done it, but I would have done it with a lot more realism, because it was really challenging.
I think there's going to be a balancing where some of the norms have to change in how startups are done to attract more females in. Because if we say, hey, we're just going to give you stuff that you need to do in a startup, regardless of gender, age, race, and we see more females drop out, well, clearly the way that startups are being built and run today do not appeal to females as much as they do to males. So with that said, I think the way startups are built and managed will need to change to attract more females.
First of all, women, we need to get more comfortable with risk-taking. And the other one is that we need to become comfortable being experts, owning our expertise, our thought leadership. And when we feel more comfortable with risk-taking, and when we feel more comfortable being thought leaders and knowing that we have an expertise, then the two main things that we hear so much, especially in the blogosphere, then self-promoting becomes easier and pitching becomes easier.
And we had Scott Kirshner from Boston Globe, and he was there talking about the necessity of having a more diverse ecosystem in Boston, what Boston could do better. And suddenly I semi-interrupted him and kind of stood up and said, listen, by the way, there's 50 of us in the room here, and there's only one woman.
Just, if you go back and look at how boys and girls grow up, boys more likely to play sports, do things where you have to keep going out and failing but trying again. And I don't think that women are any naturally less good at doing that, but we may have had less experience doing it. So just recognizing that it takes a lot of no's to get into a yes in almost any sales cycle. Sometimes you get lucky, things happen quickly. But that you're going to have to keep taking this feedback and figuring out if it's relevant. Sometimes it's good feedback, sometimes it's not, and incorporating that into your thinking and your process, and whether it's specifically to your pitch or more broadly into the way that you're running your business.
Around sort of women CEOs or women sort of top executives is, how can they deal with the issue of, spending 100% of their time at work, dealing with, families, the kids and everything. And to be honest, I'm just in awe and always have deep respect with people like my wife who essentially deal with their careers and their kids and everything else they do, and you look at that and you go, I'm not sure how you do it, but I love you for that.
And then when it comes to sourcing venture, the risk is asking for money and having them say no. But at the end of the day, like, having them say no is the worst thing that can happen. And so I think having that understanding and that being comfortable with that understanding is just, you can start it at a young age just by getting comfortable with risk and getting comfortable with failure and knowing that there'll be more opportunities, there'll be more places.
As we sit in partner meetings and somebody comes in with that school background and that pedigree in terms of where they worked, and pitches, if they speak well and they have that background, there's a comfort zone.
Right. Okay.
That being said, I think that that can lead to a lot of erroneous decisions. The way to make money in this business is not to make money by backing what everybody else is backing. The way to make money in venture capital is to think against the grain and be ahead of the curve, and to invest in something that has yet to be discovered by everybody else, and to build it into something great. And whether it's a male CEO or female CEO, doing that is really irrelevant. And what we found is, at least in the experience that we've had in over a decade of doing this, that there's a crop of women CEOs that are doing great things in this industry. And what we're trying to do as a firm here is to back something that doesn't necessarily check all the boxes, but has the potential to be great.
I mean, women have a certain perspective on the world, or they go through life in a different way than men do, and can solve different problems. Mm-hmm. So I think women are equally, because at the core of entrepreneurship is like being passionate enough to solve a problem, Yes. So I think women just have a different set of problems that they are probably more capable of fixing or solving than men. Yeah. But I think there are certain skills or personality traits or things that can sort of be coached to teach women to maybe some of the things that we talked about before. Yes. I mean, I think having that confidence that you can do it, and yes. Don't apologize.
A question of whether or not women believe that they can be successful, and
okay.
I think it's just a question of changing people's perspectives on that. I think if women felt that they could be successful entrepreneurs, you would see more women do it.
Great. So we just need to get out of our own way. That's brilliant.
Well, I don't mean it in a negative way.
No, I can hear that.
That I think that there aren't as many role models out there.
Yep.
And so, when if you think about sort of the popular culture, whether it's in movies or TV shows or books yes. or magazines or reading on the web, I think that there's, the role model of the entrepreneur is most often played by a man. And, yes. and I think that as a result, there is a little bit of a perception that it's a man thing. I don't think that's true.